Thank you very much, Brother Leon. What is your opinion on independent black education? And do you advocate separate schooling for black children in the UK?
You know, brothers, my dear brother, this is a very, very important question. And you know, it scares me when I think about, you know, what has happened in relation to the education of black people. Because we know, brother, in truth and in reality, that we are the most miseducated people on the planet. We have to appreciate that we are literally taught by our enemies. I mean, think about that. We are taught by our very enemies. I heard the Honourable Louis Farrakhan ask the question on a number of occasions. He's asked the question over and over in different lectures. If a man won't treat you right, what makes you think that man will teach you right? And the same man, brother, that enslaved us for 400 years and destroyed us as a human reality, we now turn to him for education. And so it doesn't surprise me in truth that we're in the terrible condition that we are in as a result of being educated by our open enemy. The Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan wrote a groundbreaking book called A Torchlight for America. And in the book, brother, he talked about a new educational paradigm. And in recent times, he has returned to that subject matter and has been really emphasizing and advocating the absolute need for what we call a new approach to education. And especially the need for a God-centered education. Because you see, brother, we live in a world where it's recognized in truth by most intelligent people that a creator created our universe, created the things that we use every day and take for granted. In fact, created us. But we now have a situation where in places like North America, for instance, the students in schools and colleges and universities not allowed to mention God. They're not allowed to pray. And so the headmaster of all educational processes is not to be acknowledged as the master teacher in all of these many and varied subjects. And so that's why the education that currently exists on our planet is on its way out and it's on its way down. It is defunct and it cannot suffice the people. Hence you have people literally graduating from schools, colleges and universities who are functionally illiterate because they may have learned some mathematics, they may have learned reading and writing, but in being able to function within society and to be successful at maneuvering and getting through life, they are absolutely inadequate because of a lack of a proper education. Jesus says in the scripture, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. And I say, brother, that, you know, until we determine that we are going to educate ourselves, and by ourselves I'm talking primarily about our children, but as adults we need a process of re-education too. Because again, part of the problem is that if you expose your children to good God-centered education, and then the child has to come home from that classroom to a parent who is not God-centered, who is not educated in the same way, then you can actually defeat the object of educating that child in that manner. So education is something that's needed all round. And I am a proponent and an advocate of this principle that we do need independent black education. And we also need separate schooling for our black children in this country. We had a beautiful school in the UK which was attacked relentlessly by the local council, the local government agencies, and ultimately our school went out of business because we were chased from pillar to post in trying to find a home and a place and a base where we could have our school. But brother, we have not given up on the idea. We have not given up on the determination to do this, because we know that it's an absolute necessity, and we know that it's not optional, it's not a choice thing, it's do or die. It's either we have our own education, or we're going to have to keep going to our enemy to educate us, and we know that is foolhardy. That's turkeys looking forward to Christmas. And so therefore, I answer the question, yes sir, we do need independent education, and I would encourage everyone to appreciate that in order to really educate a child, you must know, that a child must know and feel and sense that that teacher standing before them actually loves them and desires for that pupil to rise above that teacher and to go on to the next level. And the problem with having our children sitting before white people and miseducated black teachers who are black on the outside but with white minds because they've been educated themselves by white people, the problem with that is that most times they don't love the student. The student knows it, they sense it, they know that they're just in there because somebody is earning a wage, and maybe the person is not even happy because they don't earn a great deal of money as teachers, and so therefore there is a downward spiral, and the whole thing is very degenerative and very destructive, and no one benefits from an educational system of that nature. And so I cannot emphasize it enough, brother. We need this, and we need this big time. And anything that we do today in the form of building a community, building a nation, we must always remember our youth, always remember our children. And from kindergarten all the way up to university level, we must have education in mind. And as I said, not just for the students and the young people, but also for the adults. I recently attended a conference, a seminar, where this issue came up. And in the breakout session that I attended, where there was a discussion in one of the rooms, this seminar, the idea and the concept of parental education came up. And I spent a few minutes in there really advocating on behalf of this, in that we actually need now to have classes that will teach young girls of childbearing age how to raise children, what to do, what not to do, and so on and so forth. Because there are many things now, brother, in society that are taken for granted. It's assumed that all of these young girls who are having babies know how to raise a child, know what to do, know how to breastfeed, know it all. But brother, in reality, most of the time they're just making it up as they go along. There's plenty of guesswork. There is no real science being applied, and we must scientifically begin to teach these things again, so that people actually understand on an educational level, on a scientific level, how to do things. Because again, we don't know. Young boys don't know how to fix an electrical plug. They don't know anything about the internal combustion engine and how it works. We just don't know basic things. We don't know how to maybe change the tire on the wheel on a car if we should get a puncture, and so on and so forth. So basic things, again, needs to be taught, and we need what the Honourable Louis Farrakhan calls a new educational paradigm among our people.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Elijah Muhammad.